Rock and roll time.
All right, we're set.
Oh. Good morning, First Congregational South Milwaukee, here and online and live streaming and whenever in the week you join us. Alrighty, announcements. Anything that the rest of us need to know? Yes.
This actually just came up yesterday, and it concerns less of this church specifically and more of the wider church of the world. I have a friend that is going down to Guatemala over the holidays, and she is collecting used T-shirts, not white, but any other color, they can be stained, to make diapers, cloth diapers for the babies down in Guatemala. So this week, if you can go through your stuff and maybe get them to me by Saturday, then I can get them to her. But old T-shirts can be stained, not white. Please, Leslie Elo, please, go through your drawers and collect them and get them to me by Saturday. And I will get them to her, and she will make diapers.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
So it's that time of year. We have Advent coming up, and our Light of Life wreath will be going up for the first Sunday of Advent. And if you're looking for some way to honor someone that's near and dear to you, or to remember someone that was in years past, you can purchase a light, and we'll put it on that window between the overflow room, and hopefully have the church lit up for Christmas. You can do it all during Advent. Put your envelope in the offering plate, and I'll get it in the people outside.
Wonderful.
Follow up on that.
Okay.
Usually we have those applications, those forms for the Light of Light in the bell tower. And you'll notice the bell tower did not come out for November. We had a number of funerals and changing things. I will print out some of those papers and put them in the lounge after church worship. And they
Okay.
will be in the November/December bell tower coming out in the week.
And just for a little time check, the first Sunday in Advent is 2 weeks from today, so it's coming quickly. Anyone else? Announcements? Well, then I'm going to invite you to greet one another this morning in a particular way that will tie into later in the service, and just simply say to each other, you are a part of everybody. Okay? So greet. And you are the musical part of every.
Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you.
Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure
You know, I have to say, as a lay reader, sometimes it's kind of nice sitting up in front because when our voices sing together, you guys all smile at the same time, so it's kind of nice to witness that. For those who are comfortable and able, if you could stand for the call to worship, you will be reading the bold printed part. From endless ages, in the most ancient of times, your unique DNA of love spiraled into existence, giving humanity's heart the gene of your presence. You stirred our ancestors towards their best, even though they sometimes lived their worst. With every human birthing came a fresh possibility to activate the purest form of loving kindness. Will our spiritual DNA survive and thrive? Will we be a strong connection for living our best so your love can pass on to the next generation? Will you join me in prayer? I want to leave enough room in my heart for the unexpected, for the mistake that becomes knowing, for knowing that becomes wonder, for wonder that makes everything porous, allowing in and out all available light.
my voice and let me sing, always only for my King. Take my heart, it is thine own, it shall be thy royal throne, it shall be thy royal throne. You are holy, holy. May I honor you in all I say and do. You are worthy, worthy. So may I be an offering to you. May I be an offering to you.
Okay, I would like to invite the chronological children or older children of the congregation to join me up front, and please be careful of what's right here, okay? We're all going to need to be a little bit careful this morning. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Careful, careful, right behind you. Okay. In fact, you know what would be helpful? Maybe you could sit back here because we all want to see what's going to happen here. All right. Okay, let me join you here on the floor once everybody's gotten settled. Okay. All right. Well, I want to talk with you today about our relationship with God, and I want to use a picture. Okay? It's a little bit messy. It seemed like such a great idea at home. I've already spilled it on the bathroom floor a couple times, trying to get it out and open the door at the same time. Well, that's right. It's a bowl of water. So, but we still want to keep it in the pan instead of on the carpet. We can't even say it was because of snow this morning. Okay, so what's this made of? Rubber and some plastic, okay. So when I put this in the water, it gets wet, right? And it may, if the water's real hot, it might get hot for a minute or so, or if the water's real cold, it might get cold. But when you take it out, water just kind of drips off, right? Doesn't soak into the middle of this at all? This hard plastic and this hard rubber? Okay. Who wants to be my dryer? Okay, well, I'll tell you what, we're going to share it. So you're going to dry the first item. Oops, not my stool. There you go. Okay. What's this made of? Metal. Okay. So when I put something, oh, you're done. Okay, you can put it right here. Okay, so when I put the metal spoon in, same thing. If it were real hot water, it would be hot to the touch for just a little bit, or real cold, and it might feel kind of frosty. But basically, when I take it out, the water just kind of drips off, doesn't it? Okay, I need another dryer. Oh, right here. I'm sorry, I don't know everybody's name.
You don't even know mine.
No, I don't.
Vincent.
Oh.
It's Vincent.
Vincent. Oh, just like Van Gogh. I should be able to remember
A
that.
lot of people are named, a lot of people have my name. So
Okay, all right. Well, I can't say that I have known a Vincent personally in my life, and now I do. Thank you.
I know two.
Do you? Okay, what's this made of?
Wood.
Wood. Okay, so now something different starts to happen with the wood. It gets wet.
And it absorbs.
Exactly right, exactly right.
You
It,
actually can't dry it.
some of it drips off, but what does it do with the water?
It's like a sponge. It absorbs the water and then it turns a little bit darker than the normal.
Okay, so help me with your name.
My name is Alexandra.
Alexandra, would you dry off the excess water?
Sure.
Okay, so you need the towel right there. Okay, there you go. Dry it off real good. Okay, what do we got here? A washcloth, do you know what it's made of? Fabric. It's actually made of a cotton. It's made of a cotton wool. Now, cotton, yeah. So I want you to look at what size it is, okay? You think it's going to shrink when I put it in the water?
I tried to do the dimensions, but I can't.
All right. Does it shrink or does it expand? It expands, doesn't it? And what happens when I take this out of the water? It drips out, doesn't it?
And it can absorb.
It absorbs, but you know what else it does?
I'm done.
Oh, you did a great job. What else it does is that if I squeeze it, more water comes out. Yeah. So sometimes in our connections with other people, and sometimes in our connections with God, we're like the plastic or the metal. Whatever happens just kind of slides off of us. Sometimes we're like the wood, and we absorb, such a great word, we absorb God's love, the teachings we're hearing, but we kind of keep them inside. Because I can't squeeze that wooden salad thingy and have it do this, can I?
Oh, it hurts.
Yeah. But sometimes, as we relate to one another and as we come to know God, we're able both to absorb God's love and we're also able to share it. Because we're able to release it into the world, to other people, to the earth, to our school, to our church, to our family. So over the course of a lifetime, we'd like to be a little less like this and a little more like this. Okay? But everything what? Yep, but not everything. Feel it. Is it still wet? And no matter how many times that, help me with your first name. No matter how many times Claire wrapped it up in that towel, it still wouldn't be dry. It would have to dry in the air, which then means the water's back in the air. It doesn't go away. And you could put it in the water again and start the process all over again. So that's really what our,
Called evaporation.
it is. That's what our,
Yeah, I know that word.
that's what our, that's what our life in faith, good. That's what our life in faith is about. It's about absorbing the presence of God around us, keeping some within us, and sharing some with others. So I'm going to invite you now to go off to class. Don't take the water with you, and we'll see you afterwards.
Yay.
Okay. You know, on the commercials, these snap tops always work a whole lot better than they do in person, especially with an audience. Thank you for having such wonderful and engaging children. All righty. All right.
I was just making sure she got up off the floor, sisterhood there. All right. Today's scripture reading is from Isaiah 65, verses 17 through 25. For I am about to create new heavens and a new earth. The former things shall not be remembered or come to mind. But be glad and rejoice forever in what I am creating. For I am about to create Jerusalem as a joy, and its people as a delight. I will rejoice in Jerusalem and delight in my people. No more shall the sound of weeping be heard in it, or the cry of distress. No more shall there be in it an infant that lives but a few days, or an old person who does not live out a lifetime. For one who dies at 100 years will be considered a youth, and one who falls short of 100 will be considered accursed. They shall build houses and inhabit them. They shall plant vineyards and eat their fruit. They shall not build and another inhabit. They shall not plant and another eat. For like the days of a tree shall the days of my people be, and my chosen shall long enjoy the work of their hands. They shall not labor in vain or bear children for calamity, for they shall be offspring blessed by the Lord, and their descendants as well. Before they call, I will answer. While they are yet speaking, I will hear. The wolf and the lamb shall feed together. The lion shall eat straw like the ox, but the serpent, its food shall be dust. They shall not hurt or destroy on all my holy mountain, says the Lord.
Oftentimes in the prophetic literature, we hear an expression of hope. We hear an imagination of what a time of fulfillment would be like. We see a picture of people and the earth absorbing the love and the ever-present intention and energy of God. This text this morning is a wonderful connector to stewardship, and you have your Stewardship Sunday next week. When you think about where the choir started this morning, talking about being a sanctuary, being that space where the love of God thrives, where it's absorbed and where it can be squeezed out and shared in other places. It's a wonderful text to point us toward Advent, which we have already said begins only in 2 short weeks and begins with the theme of hope. It's also a wonderful text to tie to the pandemic. Now, I know a lot of people like to say the pandemic is over. I have a daughter who's a public health administrator. We never say that in any of our homes. It is in a different phase, but it is not over yet in terms of how we learn to live with it and manage its realities. I believe it's also not over in what we have to live with and learn from in these days. The pandemic came with some lessons about how we might live differently, how we might be human with one another, with the earth, before God, differently. So, great text for this Sunday. landing us right now in stewardship, pushing us forward toward Advent, and reminding us of the pandemic. 39 years ago today, second Sunday in November, on the UCC calendar was Stewardship Sunday. And probably in that era, that's the Sunday most UCC churches celebrated the completion of their stewardship campaign. I was serving at my first church, Frieden's United Church of Christ, at the corner of 19th and Newhouse in the Hyde Park neighborhood of North St. Louis City, in one of the 2 poorest zip codes in the city. I usually had about 100 people at church. A really good Sunday would be 125, maybe 150 for Christmas or Easter. It was the second Sunday in November. It was Stewardship Sunday. And while we sang the hymns, I mentally counted the room, and there were 144 people there. People don't just wander in on Stewardship Sunday. People don't say, my favorite Sunday of the year is when the pastor and the stewardship committee and the noisy offering people and the children, everybody stands up and says, we want, can't you help us? It's usually not a big Sunday. I had just entered the 8th month of my pregnancy with my first daughter, who carried vertically, not out, vertically, and my lungs got more and more compressed by the week. We still had a month and a half to go. And so I'm counting the people, and I'm trying to breathe, and I'm so confused. So after the service is over and the greeting time, and Frieden's was scattered out over several buildings, so our parish hall was called the Large Hall, and it was a building across the street. So I crossed the street to the Large Hall, and it's one of those, 1900s era, all-purpose buildings with a kitchen on one long side, a stage on the other long side, a place to put the volleyball net, basketball things at the end, some wooden sliders for Sunday school rooms, and then where you set the tables up on Sunday morning. And I walk in the front door, and there's a big pink stork pinned to the stage curtain, and everyone is screaming, "Surprise!" I have really high antenna, and I usually know just about everything that's going on around me, and I was totally surprised. There were a number of individual gifts for people, and then there was a congregational gift. And the woman who ran our church office knew that we were in the midst of crib shopping, so they had taken a collection to cover the cost of our crib. Matilda Schwink, a retired second grade teacher from the St. Louis public school system, the most authentic person I've ever known, the person most comfortable in her skin that I've ever known. Matilda Schwink hands me this beautiful cardboard crib. It's about this big. Somebody has cut it and glued it carefully. It's painted white. It's solid on the ends. There are slats on the side. There's a sticker of a lamb at the end, which the cribs of the 50s had. The one that I slept in had a sticker like that. I'm sure from the quilting circle, a mattress has been made, a blanket has been made, it's edged with lace, there's a pillow, and then on the mattress is a roll from an adding machine tape, all rolled up with a ribbon tied. So when Matilda said, jump 2 feet from the ground, you jump 2 feet from the ground. She handed it to me, and she said, I want you to open up the tape. She used adding machine tape for many things. So I unrolled it, and on the tape, she had printed the name of every person within the congregation and beyond the congregation who had contributed to the crib fund. And she said, Martha, I want you to take good care of this crib because someday I want you to pass it on to your first child and tell that child that this long piece of adding machine tape with all these names represent all the people who loved your child before he or she arrived and who couldn't wait for you to get here. And I did indeed do that with Amanda. I think she was in 8th grade when I stopped shepherding it and gave it to her. You are loved before you are even here. You are loved without being known. You are loved without condition. The message to Amanda is the message to all of us every day. It is the message of today's text. Barbara Holmes, who's a wonderful African-American theologian and writer and teacher, says that the world is saturated, that's the word she uses, saturated with the love and the intention of the ever-present God. We are not alone. We are not alone. That is the truth that we hope to live out in our faith communities. That is the truth that we aim to share in the larger world. That is the truth that we would like to have go to Guatemala. That is the truth that we would offer to the community meals or the laundry basket Easter dinners or all of that underwear at the end of May. That is the truth that we want to take in and that we want to squeeze out as we serve the wholeness and the well-being of a larger and larger and larger group of beings, both human and more than human. The text gives us a picture. The text is a vision of hope. The text is an invitation for us to truly, truly believe and experience that love that saturates all of us and everything around us. In the Carrie Newcomer reading that we used this morning, she uses the word porous. You know, may our lives not have hard edges like plastic or metal or even just absorbent edges like wood. May they have porous edges. And it comes from a book of her writings called Permeable. May they be permeable. May the love of God pass into us and through us and then around us. At the end of 2020, I found this magnificent red coat reading, and then it just dropped in my lap again a couple of weeks ago from a different source. Phyllis Dale Kai is an essayist, a spiritual essayist. She lives in South Dakota, and she had lived there for about 12 years before she got a decent winter coat for the Northern Plains in the winter. And when she bought her coat, she didn't buy black, brown, tan, navy blue, dark green, dark teal. Have I hit just about everybody's coat? She bought bright red. And about the time, so it was actually some time after she had bought her coat, it was in 2012, she came upon a poem called Everybody. And the poet told a story of meeting a homeless man at a bus stop who said to her, "Sign my coat." And the back of his coat in big letters says, "Everybody signs." And so he took the coat off, and she took the marker, and she signed, and she wrote a poem about it. And it just lit Phyllis Dale Coy's imagination. And she said, "I know what to do with my red coat." Her mother later said, "How could you ruin that beautiful red coat?" She said, "I know what to do with my red coat." She spread it out on the dining room table, and she wrote on the back, "You are a part of everybody. Sign here." And she's kind of an introvert, so she doesn't run around like coming up right to your face and saying, "Sign my coat now." Rather, she waits for people to notice the coat and ask her. The coat has been signed in coffee shops, on airplanes, in grocery lines, places where she's presenting, and maybe it was resting over a chair while she was presenting. The coat goes with her during the long months of winter on the northern plains. Signatures are now in multiple languages. So we get to 2020, and she and her husband and her son, who is a late high school, early college person, are very, very, very careful around COVID, and they're not going anywhere. And so there's no way to get new signatures for her coat. So she puts a call out on email. She takes a picture of the lining of her coat, which is bright red and has no signatures. "If you would like me to sign your name on my coat, get back to me." And her email just starts pinging, pinging, pinging. And I will send you a picture. Phyllis demonstrates or illustrates a life saturated with the love and the ever-present intention of God by wearing all these people on herself whenever she goes out. The American novelist Barbara Kingsolver has this great line. She said, "The very least you can do is to know what you hope for. The very most that you can do is to live inside that hope. Not look at it from afar, but live inside, underneath its roof." Now, Phyllis didn't live underneath the roof. She literally lived in the coat that provided a living document, that provided a living vision, not unlike the prophets. A vision of a wide community, a vision of connectedness, of relatedness, of people knowing that, yes, they were indeed a beloved part of everybody. Everybody goes to Guatemala. Everybody goes to Chicago or San Francisco or states where the election isn't decided yet, or across the oceans in multiple directions. We are called as the church, as a people potentially saturated, porous to the love and the ever-present intention of God. We are called to stretch the boundaries of who we would wear on our coats, who we would set places for at the table, who we would imagine as sisters and brothers. That's what Isaiah's text is about. And the good news is that at the beginning of Advent, we enter year A. It's the best of the Advent texts because you have 4 Sundays of the prophet Isaiah, one magnificent image after another of brand new, broken open, life-giving and life-sharing ways of being. You were loved long before you got here. There was a community of beings awaiting your presence without condition. And now your opportunity and my opportunity is to live in response to that, to live into that spaciousness, into that saturation, into that fullness that would embrace us all, so that there is love for us to hold, hope for us to hold, welcome for us to hold, and enough to squeeze out and share. It's about stewardship. It's about beginning again in Advent. And it's about what we learn in difficult times. Thanks be for all of the ways that we know this to be truth And we know this to be life-giving. Amen. And I invite you now just into a moment of quiet before we finish out our hymn. As always, at our time of prayer, we begin with offering any joys, any concerns we would like to place into the common and shared heart of this congregation. Yes, Rochelle.
I actually have a joy today. My uncle, who has had mouth cancer and been suffering terribly, just got a clean bill of health. And no sign of cancer.
Oh my.
So thanks be for that. And it's just nice to share good news.
What's your uncle's first name?
Charles.
Charles. Go, Uncle Charles. Oh, that's wonderful. Other prayers? Yes.
Just a prayer of thanksgiving of my friend Maria Reyes. Her daughter Nina had the RSV, and she got off the incubator yesterday and should be out of the hospital today. So
Okay.
prayers of thanksgiving and also for healing and comfort for all the children that are suffering from that disease right now.
Right. And there are many. There are many. Yeah. Yes.
I've had 4 funerals in the last 4 months,
Oh my.
and 3 of them were my age, which kind of freaked me out. But I'd like a prayer for all those who have lost people. I know we've lost people in this congregation, and prayers for their families.
So prayers for all of the losses and all of the grief and all of the painful growth that can happen through that grief. Someone else? Yes.
Prayer of thanks and gratitude for my wife's completion of her treatments, and she's free and clear.
Oh. Ooh, it's a free and clear Sunday. Oh, how wonderful. Yes.
Prayers of gratitude for Amanda, for those in the congregation who know we had a very short period of time to rally around her so she could go to Spain, and I'm happy to say the trip's paid for, and it's all by God's grace that came together the way it did.
And how long will she be there?
She'll be there for 2 weeks,
Okay.
starting right after Thanksgiving, so.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Anyone else? Yes.
A prayer for parents who take care of young children, and a prayer for older children who take care of elderly parents.
Nothing to add. That's beautiful. Yeah, yeah. So that generational stream of care. Yeah. Yes.
A prayer for one of our sister UCC churches who next Sunday is having a candidate weekend and hopes to call a new pastor next Sunday.
for that sister church and others that we don't know about who are in the search process. Thank you. Well, I want to offer a prayer for safe travels for your friend who's going to Guatemala. I also want to offer thanks for every volunteer across this nation that made Tuesday possible. Countless people, some of whom are still working, to help us participate. And I just really appreciate them. So holding those prayers and others that may remain unspoken within your hearts, we'll pause again for a moment of silence before we share John Philip Newell's version of what he calls the Jesus Prayer, what is more commonly known as the Lord's Prayer. And with one voice we speak. Ground of all being, mother of life, Father of the universe, your name is sacred beyond speaking. May we know your presence. May your longings be our longings in heart and in action. May there be food for the human family today and for the whole earth community. Forgive us the falseness of what we have done, as we forgive those who are untrue to us. Do not forsake us in our time of conflict, but lead us into new beginnings. For the light of life, the vitality of life, and the glory of life are yours, now and forever. Amen. And we are going to have a stewardship moment.
Good morning. As a member of the church's mission committee, I want to thank you all for your generous contributions throughout this year for all of the charity and special emphasis things that we have had. Most recently, you helped fill that wheelbarrow with Thanksgiving offerings. I was able to take that to Human Concerns this week, and the ladies there were just, wow, look at all of this. They were just beside themselves with excitement about the contributions from all of you. Also, I've had more than a dozen people give me their names that they're willing to help with our Christmas gifts, and I don't even have the wish list yet for the kids, but I have people saying they will help. So I appreciate that, and our whole mission committee thanks you also for your generosity. Today I want to share about a unique opportunity to be both the receiver and the provider of blessings, absorbing and sharing, as we heard today. In the spring of 2017, several leaders from throughout the city convened with our former pastors and some church members around a common goal. The goal to provide a safe community setting where free meals were available for the hungry in our city. From that dream became the reality of South Milwaukee's free community meal program. With the exception of the long pandemic months and that shutdown, our church has been the site of the free community meal once per month since May of 2017. Collaborative partners include area businesses, churches, service organizations, and some private citizens. Many of you have participated also as planners or servers or cooks or the cleanup crew or greeters. What I'm here today to do is to invite all of you to come to the free community meal as a hungry participant, willingly sharing your time to eat among those who join every month. Come meet the elderly woman who deliberately eats slowly so that she has time to watch the children in the room. She has said that this monthly meal is her only opportunity to interact and to see young people, to see the energy of those little ones. What a blessing it would be to her and to all the others if there were more families and more children in that room for her to watch, for all of us to enjoy. Come meet that lively women's group who comes to the meal after their weekly bowling outing about their scores. Or the couples who convene around tables laughing and catching up with each other, Jeannie and Steve. We've served kids who only want the dessert until they taste that yummy pasta, and then they're asking for more of that. We've had big strapping men who wait until everyone else has had their chance at the table, and then they come up for seconds. We've served young adults who have just moved to the community. This is their first chance to see how this place works. They come to the meal. Older citizens walk over or take a bus so that they can have the tasty offerings. Our sponsors come prepared to serve at least 100 folks at every meal because our numbers were that high prior to the pandemic. With current numbers hovering close to 70, there's always plenty of leftovers. There is room and food for you and your family. Our next meal is this week, November 17th, Thursday. The dinner is served from 5 to 6:30, and you can drop in anytime. Skyline Catering is offering the meal. They've secured area youth to work the event, so you don't have to come and work. The youth are going to do that. The menu remains a mystery, but with Skyline Catering as the chefs, I'm sure things will be delicious. So join us. Come, sit down, eat. Your participation will not only satisfy your hunger, but serve as a blessing to the others who fill our fellowship hall. It can't be a true community meal unless those who are part of the community join in. Absorbing and sharing. As with everything we do here at First Congregational Church, all are welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. To borrow a few words from the writer of the Gospel of Luke, give and it will be given to you, pressed down, shaken together, running over. For the measure you give is the measure you get back. And so, whether you give in the plate at the door or through a check in the mail or e-giving your support of the community meal and pop-up diapers and regular funds for all of the running of the church so that that love can be squeezed out and shared widely. Thank you for those gifts and for your commitments in the coming year. And once again, our response is this terrific one that I have got to sing with you in the last month 3 times. It's new to me, and it's just a very fitting text. So as you are able in body or spirit, I invite you to stand, and we will sing this together. Through twice. You to go forth this day aware and open to the saturation all around you of the love and the intention of the ever-present God. Amen. morning. Morning. I'm still kind of an elbow knocker. And thank you for your prayer for parents and kids of all ages. How are you? Good, good. I'm still knocking elbows. You're welcome. That's just about the prettiest water bottle I've seen all week. Yep, you too. I'm wired. Nope. I'll just put it here. Oh, that's right. That's right. I'm like a regular horse, huh? Okay, you too. You too. Hello.
Thought about you this summer when we got out our camper. Sheriff's Camp is going to get this please take care of the dog. I call and tell this camper dad and get the room all in the
Now, this is familiar.
Especially when you're not, you don't have that much insulation around you, like the whole Okay. Okay, I have actually a monthly conversation with my best friend from college. It goes on for about 3 hours. So that is the balance of the day.
So then after that, Mom, I'll watch it. Well, see, my mom, her favorite thing to make dinner was reservations. And she worked. And so she was a kid. And we were done. And we were done. And then I did my laundry. And then I did the reading stuff. So I had to read it. That was my wardrobe.
We'll talk about it. I mean, if I'm gonna drive by myself, sometimes, because I will.